if you're listening to this and you feel like it's selfish for you to feel good in your body, it's selfish for you to take care of yourself, it's selfish for you to feel successful, dude, turn it around, because the fact is, the more empowered, successful, happy, contented, peaceful in your own body you are, oh, the ripples it shall have.
Hello and welcome to the Success Sessions. I am super, super, super honored to be here with Elena Brower. Truly one of the most inspiring, touched by God yoga teachers that I have experienced. When I say touched by God, what I mean is that when she teaches yoga, when she teaches meditation, when she teaches, I feel God's presence. It's a very direct experience. And I had the privilege of experiencing that probably 15 years ago. Was the start. Yeah. And so I was there when Elena, you had this enormous, beautiful Soho yoga studio in New York City. And then I watched as you gradually shifted your attention, started building much more global events, publishing books, creating a very different kind of online presence. So I'm just super, super excited to be with you and super honored that you are here to give us your time. And
gosh, I feel it. And I thank you for having me. Long time coming.
Yes, yes.
And congratulations to you. You know, what you've built is incredibly useful, very inspiring to so many thousands of women. So thank you.
Yeah, my honor and my pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to be in it at this time together.
Totally, totally.
In these interviews, I always like to start with exploring what success means to you now, and contextualize that in terms of what success meant to you as a child, especially if there were concepts that you had of success that you now see to be incorrect or untrue, to just kind of share the lineage of that word in your life.
As a child, I think success to me was how many people could I help? Like, I wanted to be a veterinarian for a long time. Then I wanted to be an artist, and I wanted to make sure that I worked with children. I wanted to work with other abled children. And then I wanted to, then it moved. Then success moved, and I wanted to be in fashion, and I wanted to create beautiful things. This is where the sort of divide came in, I think. You know, fashion is so much fun. It's so incredibly uplifting. If it's done well, it can really change things in the world. It has really changed things in the world. And then once I found myself in the world of fashion, and season after season after season, I was living in Italy for a time. And it was just, I realized that I had gone so far away from being helpful and useful and into a space of habit in every way. Not just in all the habits I was engaging in, which were smoking and drinking and, you know, too free with my body, but in the habit of season after season after season of creating material goods that we don't need. More on that later. When I tell you what I have here for a 3-month stay, you will die. It's my best practice yet. In any case, that has morphed. Success now to me, since I own the yoga studio, we created a beautiful community, a real home for people all over the world to come to the city when yoga first started to blossom in New York. I closed that studio 5 years ago, and I started to focus on other things. And it wasn't so much that I personally was focusing on the global yoga events. That wasn't my impetus. I was asked to do that by other people. Proud and thrilled and honored to do it. What I really wanted, though, and I know you'll get this because I've researched your work, what I really wanted was to make zillions of dollars so that I could be philanthropic. That's all I wanted. I wanted to be able to pick any cause and throw any amount of money in that direction and make a difference. That's what I wanted. Call it what you will. That feels really good to me. And I created for myself now a series of several different businesses that actually allow me to do that. And that feels like success to me. Still helping.
I love that.
Then the sort of adjacent result of that is that I'm helping, as you are, just thousands upon thousands of women believe in themselves, get the hell out of debt, pardon, and create for their families and their children a vision of self-sustainability and independence financially that is, I feel, of the utmost importance right now. For women especially, but also for men. You know, there are certain men who really could use some of this. So that's where it sits for me now.
I'm fascinated that in hearing your story, it actually sounds like all the threads of your framework or definition of success have kind of come through. So,
For sure.
you know, the desire to be of service and help from childhood is still very prominent, always has been really prominent. And I think that actually part of the resonance that I have always felt with you is it has to do with aesthetics, not just clothing. In fact, it was cool. I didn't know that about you. I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing that I was picking up on without knowing I was picking up on it. But the way that you craft everything that you do, the cards that you've done, the spaces that you create, even the way that you work with, like I'm remembering I filmed you at this yoga journal class that you taught, and you and Drez were collaborating, and the way that you worked with him in weaving the music into the class, even that had an aesthetic to it, like an awareness of the composition that to me has always felt just very right, not in a moral judgment kind of way, but just like, yes, like this. So,
you know, the thing is, I think just a little bit of attention goes a long way with anything aesthetic.
Say more about that.
I'm pretty sure that my mom gave me this. She was she was perfectly chilled out about clothing, but she always had it right. She would wear lots of layers and lots of like necklaces, but it was never too much. You know, I would accuse my mother of so many things, rest her soul, but I would never accuse her of too many layers of things. And she always had this like just right, just so. And I think that spilled over into most everything that I did. I remember very early on, she used to spend her hard-earned money on art supplies for me, a drafting table, a little table where I could keep all of my art supplies, a little carrying case that I still have 40 years later right now. You know, there's a lot to be said for what the influences with which we surround ourselves. And I think I was fortunate in that arena.
Beautiful. Shout out to the lineage. Are there any aspects of your previous concepts of success that you've let go of or renounced?
For sure. I now have enough well-known friends to know I definitely do not want to be famous. That is not a life I want. And I never really actually wanted it cognitively, but I'm sure it was somewhere in the ethers, not related to yoga, but related to fashion. Then I was like, oh, wouldn't that be great if I had my own line, super well known, blah, blah, blah. And then when I started teaching yoga, all of that left because I was learning the philosophy of yoga, and I realized how interconnected we all are and how unimportant fame is. So yeah, I think that is definitely something that I have long released, because I watched the friends of mine who are well known and how they cannot move around in the world freely, and that's it's a tough lot. I would much rather be where I am, where I can just move freely, have an impact, go home, do my dishes.
Yeah. I think it's fascinating and powerful to hear you in particular say this, because in the world of spirituality and yoga, you are, I think, quite famous. You have, yeah.
Ridiculous. I don't see it.
You don't see it.
I don't see it like that. No, I'm not like having that experience. I'm teaching, I'm doing my job. We're recording this during this quarantine, so I'm teaching once a week to my doTERRA team. I'm not teaching publicly except on Yoga Glow. I teach meditation every day live on Instagram because that feels really right, useful, helpful.
Yeah.
But I trust people are moving in the way that they need to. And I don't get that sort of treatment from people.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I think this is so important is when I became an entrepreneur and kind of entered this space, suddenly everyone that I knew, everyone that I met, if you asked them, would you like to be on Oprah? They'd be like, yeah, of course. Like there was a certain, right, almost like here we are as completely unknown beginning entrepreneurs, because that's what I was at the time. Sure. And then there's this, like being on Oprah, having your book launched in bestseller, New York Times, whatever. There's a lot of space in between those two.
Yes.
And I think that, yeah, part of the maturity, I think, that comes from being an influencer and being, particularly in the spiritual context, like transformational leader, is understanding the sweet spot about where you want to be. Because if you're just totally unknown, there's especially now, there's a limit, I think, to the impact that we can have.
That's true.
But there's just so much, it's like zooming in on a ruler and like there's millimeters, and then I actually don't know what's smaller than that, but like there's a lot of precision there.
Yes. Nanometers. I think you and I should talk about this space, because I think anyone watching, if you're watching this and you're wondering how to get from there to there, this is a cool conversation between the two of us. So I will tell you what I think, and then I'm going to ask you the same question.
Great.
The space between having a little bit of impact and starting to put your work out there, but not being known yet, and becoming known even just within your small pond of whatever, yoga, spirituality, that space, I feel, is replete with mindset work. Honestly, I don't know that, yes, practice teaching, yes, practice putting yourself out there, practice being completely embarrassed, practice hating what you look like on screen, practice hating hearing the sound of your voice. It is all about mindset. If you have a mindset patrol, a loving mindset patrol for yourself, you will always be able to surmount whatever it is that you think is stopping you, whatever self-imposed perceived limitations are stopping you. You'll always be able to get through them because you have that little patrol going, that little practice going. Without which, I don't think it's possible to propel oneself to where you've gone. Because if you didn't believe in yourself, dude, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be doing any of the work that you're doing, and nobody would be caring about what you were saying because you would have no experience to share. Mm-hmm. Do you think that is true?
Yes, absolutely.
What is your, if you had to, describe your mindset work, what would it look like? And it's probably evolved over time. We know that.
Yes. That's I'm like, whoa, we're going to talk for hours now.
I know. Sorry.
Let me start here. And then
let's see
where this direction goes. One of the things that I heard as you were talking had to do with visibility. And I actually don't think I've made this distinction before, that visibility is conflated with celebrity or fame.
Word. And
they are not the same.
They're not the same. We don't care about the celebrity or the fame. Visibility, though, is good because that's where you get to be helpful.
Yes.
Very good.
Very good. Yes. And I totally agree with you that I don't know that I think that the visibility line, wherever it is that we're afraid of being seen, that points us to our next chapter, no matter where we are.
Yeah.
And so most of the people that come to me are afraid of being seen by people that they feel very loyal to as different. it doesn't even really matter. Like, they have stories about what those differences are, but really at its core, it's just being seen as different, being seen as independent, being seen as making a different choice from either what they used to or what the group tends to make.
Totally. And I might add, even not surpassing, but there's an energy of the word surpassing here, even doing something other than your family of origin. And I'm not saying surpassing, even though there's an energy of that. Even that can cause some of us, it has caused me in the past, to stop myself. Wait, don't do that. You will be too good. It will bring too much light. Don't you do that. It will make people uncomfortable. And so many times I would stop myself because of that. And now I can catch that, you know, in myself. I can catch it super easily in other people. And I say, wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not make that mistake because we don't have enough time.
Yes.
Your work is needed. The most
well, and I think
blue birds are right over our heads right now. I can't even begin. The blue, exactly like your dress. Partying.
I love that. You're choreographing our color scheme, even beyond what's visible.
Wow.
I see, like, it's wonderful also to listen to you talk, because I'm, again, remembering that was just like a peak experience, that one class at that Yoga Journal conference. Because what were we? It was like a hip hop, like, anthem.
It was the very, very beginning of Drez scoring classes. And we were just getting pretty fearless at that point. So we went for it. And I think he played all of our favorite hip hop songs. And you know, those were the days in a way. We didn't know that at the time, but those were the days. Like that won't happen for me anymore. Now when I teach yoga, it's very internal. And it's very much about the organs and the systems and the glands and the lymph and the circulatory enhancement, and so much less about the, you know, music. I teach one retreat a year with him where he plays, but it's super sensitive. Every now and again, he'll bust out something like that. But those were the days. That was a different time.
Yeah.
Very different time.
Well, and what I'm aware of, and I think this is true throughout your work, it's just showing up in different ways, is helping people see themselves.
For sure, yes.
And that's where this visibility work begins. And even going back to what you were saying about, like, being willing to have enough confidence in yourself to go out there and put your work out there and be generous. It's like a mental tongue twister for people.
That's right.
That the thing that's required for them to be the most impactful, the most philanthropic, the most generous, requires them to also receive the most, bring the most in, be willing to be seen.
Yeah. I had a morning this morning. This is my third hour of I'm out here, video work. Feels so good. I mean, I have plenty of time just completely offline here, especially now, but this never was in my plan. To be seen, to be recorded, to be teaching, you know, into the future. But now that I can do it, what I get to receive are the emails from people who say, oh my God, you've helped me believe. You helped me change this entire paradigm in my family. You helped me mend it with my dad. It's so beautiful. Like that, to me, that if you're watching this and you're feeling like I'm never going to do what those girls are doing, I would dare you to say, you know what? What if I told you that you would actually make a huge difference in one person's life, and that one person went on to do something great? Would you be willing to be visible for that purpose? And I dare say you would say yes, you know? So maybe there's direction there. I don't know.
This is very good.
It's hard. It's hard to think about putting yourself out there. Then there's also, like, I have a fair amount of haters. Many.
Really?
Yeah, they're pretty persistent. And I find it so sad. And mainly because they're using up a lot of their precious chi, prana, and time on somebody who really is out here to do good. Like, I'm not gonna tear you down, even if you do fuck with me. It's part of, I'm not gonna tear you down. I'm just gonna let you be. I'm just gonna let you keep reverberating against an empty screen. I'm not gonna respond. I can't.
But this is part of what happens as you step into more and more visibility.
Thank you for bringing it back. But if you are willing to go and help that one person, you might piss 3 people off, and that has to be okay.
Yeah.
It just has to be okay. So if you're watching this and your concern about this is stopping you, end that whole dialogue right now, because you're going to have people talking about you no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter how well-intentioned you are. People are going to come out, try and tear you down, because that's what they do. They don't have any focus on themselves or what they could do that would be helpful. So they're just going to come after you. And that has to be fine. Don't respond. Don't give them any gas for the fire. Just let the fire burn out. And they will turn to somebody else. I never respond to these things. They will immediately turn their attention on someone who will. So tangent, but not.
No, very important. I think this is what it brings up for me, is that I think that my definition of success as a child was so tied to other people approving of me.
Oh, for sure. Acceptance. Yeah.
And so what you're describing had to change for me to step into, I mean, frankly, it had to change when I was teaching high school math.
Wow, you taught high school math.
Yeah. When we knew each other in New York, that's what I was doing for work.
Dude, my kid is 13. And I'm relearning algebra. I'm not happy about it.
This is my work. I taught exactly like 9th graders primarily, algebra primarily.
I'm not happy about it. I'm learning again. It's sort of like what we're doing here. Like, you just have to make things equal on both sides, and then you can figure it out, and it's going to be okay.
That's powerful.
Make things equal on both sides. So don't put all of your weight in one direction, or you'll never get to the answer, because you'll complicate things.
Algebra is meant to be easy.
Right.
It's like, it's meant to capture, it's meant to generalize these things that we know how to do anyway. And it's a beautiful metaphor, because we do make it complicated. I watched kids make it complicated for over a decade.
I can't get over how hard it is. And then when he hits it,
yeah,
you can explain it to me. I'm like, oh, right. Plus becomes a minus, minus becomes a plus. This times this, divide by that, we're good. X is obviously 2.
You know, at the end of my career in math education, I was coaching math teachers all over New York City, and we were working with something called Instructional Activities, which was basically like the best thing that I've seen. I'm super geeking out right now, but it was the best thing that I've seen in all of math education.
I need this. Go.
Yeah, I will scour my resources, see what I can find. What was beautiful about it is that it was not about the answer, which mathematics is never supposed to be about the answer, but everyone thinks it's about the answer. It's about thinking. It's about learning to think. And we are pattern-seeking machines. We're like, we are nothing else if not mathematicians in these material forms. Like, our brains are trained to notice patterns. So we have the raw material. Algebra is just a set of exercises designed to deepen our understanding of what we're doing. It's almost like taking us from our unconscious competence to conscious competence. And I'm just loving in this moment hearing you talk about Jonah, that this is also the work of mindset. We're learning how to think. We're learning how to do what we're meant to do. We're learning how to consciously, with intention, use this resource of our thinking that we already have on purpose, in devotion, in service.
In a certain direction. In a direction of our choosing. Mm. Which I think is where our work comes in, you know, for somebody who might be seeking it. Just making sure that you're choosing the direction in which you're placing your attention and traveling in that direction, not in some other direction where you didn't intend to go.
Yeah. Just hearing you say that word attention reminds me that once again, I think so much of my appreciation of your work, I didn't know until this moment, is about the way that you incorporate art, beauty into spiritual principles that for me has just like rocked my world. I love entering into your containers, into your spaces, because I know that both are going to be there. That's, for me, that's the yoking of this, like, we are these spirit souls, we are not these bodies, and at the same time we're in these bodies. Let's be beautiful, let's enjoy the beauty that's here,
let's be strong, let's take care, let's do it right. Agreed. Totally agreed. Wow.
What are you eagerly, enthusiastically moving in the direction of now?
Couple things. I have a course called Simplify, which I plan to launch only once a year. Not a big, massive thing, you know, 6 modules, absolutely digestible content around this conversation, where you're taking your education, your understanding, in what service? And what are all the little ways in which you could mess with yourself, and how can we together dismantle them? So the plan was to only do it once a year. We just finished it about 6 weeks ago. We just finished module 6, and the entire student body of this course is begging for me to run it again. Once you buy it, you have access to it all the time. But they're begging for me to run it again because now, of course, we're recording this during this quarantine, which will end. But it seems as though while people are at home, they really are finding it helpful to work with me and study with me in this way. The modules are all 3 or 4 lessons each, and each lesson is 10 or 20 minutes, nothing. You know, you can watch it in a sitting. I'm very enthusiastic about that because we're going to add in, for this run, which makes it twice a year, activities for the kids around each one. A lot of the folks are having children at home. The children are seeing their moms and dads engage in the course and are enthralled. They're watching me talk on the screen. I'm very simple and very, you know, straightforward in how I speak. I managed not to curse once in the whole course taping, which is the feat. And so it's clean. And the assignments are beautiful. My collaborator, Michelle, with whom I've been working for over a decade, she created some gorgeous PDFs. So there's lots of writing assignments. You can make art. I'm super enthusiastic about the way in which we can use online education to create analog art experiences and writing experiences.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what excites me. My third book, Second Journal, Being You, is coming out in January of next year, 2021. Just handed it all in. It is my best work for sure. I took a lot of time, and in the painting of it, the deadline got shortened substantially. And so the painting of it happened over the course of a really short window of time in all of my friends' homes. So instead of curtailing my social life, I would go to everybody's house with all of my things, and I would paint and or do the vellum overlays of the copy on each page with friends around at dinner or after dinner. And so the book is imbued with the energy of the people that I love the most, and their spaces and their energy. So those are the two things I'm most excited. And secretly, I don't want to timestamp this too much, but during the quarantine that this is happening, we just got back into school. We're about 2 weeks in. Jonah just started online distance learning. And I'm super enthusiastic about the way in which he approached it. He's in the other room in class right now. But I figured, oh my God, this is going to be the worst thing ever for this kid. He's had 2 weeks off, total freedom. We go for hikes. He's on the phone with his friends. He's playing games with his friends, basketball, Fortnite, whatever. You can hate me or not, I don't care. But he's a pretty balanced kid. And last night, I found him in that room. I set up a desk for him near a window so that he could be on Zoom. We know natural light is nice to have. I found him making a beautiful handwritten schedule of the printout that I had made that the teacher had sent me of the week's schedule each week. And he wrote it out in his own hand. And he propped it up on the windowsill. I'm very enthusiastic about the potentiality for these children who are now forced to get as creative as we are with regards to how we run our business online at home. There's no change for me. I'm just in another city because I had to get out of New York because my lungs are not great, but there's no change. Now these kids have to have that too. They have to get really flexible and adaptable and practical with I'm enthusiastic about the potential for this.
Me too. I love hearing you talk about this. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So, this could be a very great thing.
Yes. Always that opportunity is there.
Deborah Tannen has a great article in Politico, how coronavirus could change the world. Very, very beautifully written, practically presented, many different points of how things could be really shifted. Brick and mortar, all these different points. Nice for discussion. If you're watching this, it doesn't matter when you're watching it. It would be interesting still to look back on that article and see what she was presenting. She's a great lady. She once gave a lecture for me at Cornell. And I admire her work and her mind.
Beautiful. We'll put that link in the show notes just to make it easy for people.
Yeah.
I also want to emphasize what you're saying. Well, I recently with my husband, we took 9 beautiful visionary entrepreneurs to India for 3 weeks. Literally left just as they were shutting down travel through Hong Kong. Coronavirus just beginning as we left. And so I'm super grateful because at the time I was like, I don't know what's going on in Hong Kong. Right. And now I'm like, so such beautiful timing. So we had one of those trips where it was almost like everything just went really well. And in India, that doesn't happen. You know that. In India, it sort of tends to be the opposite, where everything is you cannot really go according to schedule. The culture is so different. There's always misunderstandings and various things. And all those things are part of the growth experience. So it's not bad. But our group was we didn't have that for almost 2.5 weeks. And then the last place that we went to was real hard.
Ooh.
And some of them, I would say half the group just kind of was that was their divine awakening moment. They had the most peak experience in that place. And others were so in it. They were so in it. They were constipated and pissed off at us and not getting feeling unsupported, all the stuff that wanted to come up. And it was because we had also been traveling for some time. It was it was challenging. It was challenging to hold the container.
Camp counselor is not a job for just anyone. You had a whole.
Yeah. So we talked as we closed the trip about why it had happened. What were the gifts from this experience? What did it prepare us for? Why did we need to save it until the end? Just kind of exploring that.
Yeah.
And that was very nourishing and it was clear immediately to me that we were not done with that. that the mining of the experience of, it happened in Mayapur. So the mining of Mayapur is continuing now. And as the quarantine has come up, I actually think that there's a lot of teachings.
Oh, for sure.
For this group because of that experience. Like they are more prepared for this because of that. And so similarly, your invitation to like, let's return to the quarantine, no matter when you're watching this, whether you're still in quarantine or it's 3 years later, doesn't matter. There's experiences from this quarantine, from this COVID-19 world crisis that are going to be worthy of mining forever.
Hundreds of years.
Yeah.
We don't even know yet.
We don't even know yet. I love that.
I do know though that there are, I mean, I think the fun dinner table conversation when I get some friends for dinner this week virtually is, how did you cause this and why? Like, what's it doing for you? You know what I mean? Yeah. What did it do for you?
So I have my own ideas about why that's such a powerful and radical question. Will you tell us, like, why do you advocate that question?
I had good teachers. I learned from the Handel group how to coach myself, really. Like, I did not know before. I was like the addict who couldn't hold anything together, really, but could seem like I was, you know, a bit of tape here, a little Post-it there, and everything was looking okay. But that's always a question that we ask in social settings with that group. When I'm with them, my coaches and families. And it's always, you know, how did you cause Hurricane Sandy? Why? And when I think back to that, I think, oh, it was because my son and I were in Los Angeles and I was filming for glow.com and I caused it so that he and I could stay there and so that I could have this incredibly healing exchange with the guy who actually designed the Venice skate park and get him to teach my kid how to skateboard. And I instead, in exchange, would give him some money and sweep the whole park, you know, a few days in a row. How awesome.
Yes.
You know, that's why that happened. And I know that I'm not belittling the massive trauma and damage that that event caused, believe me. But just on a personal level, it's interesting to ask when something traumatic happens, like, what did it do for you? Why did you make that happen potentially so that you could learn? What did you learn? You know, why shouldn't we ask that question? Shit is fucked up. It's crazy. Like we really have no idea. It could be that giant stadiums, buildings all over the world, including schoolhouses, are no longer useful. What does that mean? Library, like we just have no idea. So to be in a constant dialogue about, you know, what are you learning today?
Yes.
What's good today is kind of a nice way. So I attribute that question to them. They're the good teachers who gave me this like opening in the matrix. Ask these other questions, please, so that you don't get stuck in the contentious, this side or that side, this guy or that guy dialogue that isn't serving anyone.
Yes. Yes, there's, I hear in your explanation of the question, built in is gratitude, built in Absolutely. Is acknowledgement and celebration of learning and growth. And also built in is this piece around empowerment, which I think often to the skeptics or the naysayers around these kind of questions, it happens because people conflate personal empowerment and blame, I think.
And selfishness.
Ooh, that's juicy.
Yeah, people do conflate the two. And I need, if you're listening to this and you feel like it's selfish for you to feel good in your body, it's selfish for you to take care of yourself, it's selfish for you to feel successful, dude, turn it around, because the fact is the more empowered, successful, happy, contented, peaceful in your own body you are, oh, the ripples it shall have. Oh, the effect, the impact that you can have on people all around you, people who desperately need to see you feeling good, even if they don't think it at the time. They need to see that. You don't know who you're helping silently by feeling good about yourself, by doing the things that are hard, but that will actually propel you to the next plane. Mm-hmm. That's so true.
I cannot think of a better note to end on, Elena. That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're inspiring, my lady. Very inspiring. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be in this world together at this time.
Yeah.
What's the easiest way for people to find you?
Or just my name, ElenaBrower.com. Everything is there. From there, you can get to the podcast, which is called Practice You. You can get to all the books. You can get to the blog. I love to write. Everything is there.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insight in my life and in everyone's lives. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, honey.
Mm-hmm.
See you soon.
Yes. Be well, everyone.
Everything you want.